You're not failing because you lack ability. You're stuck because your thinking is wired against your own success. That's why life feels like a constant uphill battle. But when you learn how to rewire your thoughts using this proven success formula, everything changes. You gain clarity, confidence, and unstoppable forward momentum. In a few moments, I'll teach you how to apply a guaranteed success formula to rewire your thinking and unlock unstoppable clarity, purpose, and achievement. 1. You become what you think about. There is a force, quiet and invisible, that shapes every experience and outcome in your life. That force is your mind. It is not the loud declarations you make to the world, but the subtle, persistent thoughts you allow to take root in the garden of your inner world. These thoughts, repeated day after day with conviction and emotion, eventually shape your actions, your habits, and ultimately your destiny. While you go about your daily routines unaware, your thoughts are at work behind the scenes, scripting the narrative of your future. You were not cast into greatness by accident, nor relegated to a life of limitation by some cruel twist of fate. Your life reflects the sum of your dominant thoughts. Those who appear to live charmed lives, drawing success and abundance effortlessly, are often not more talented or fortunate than you. They have simply cultivated a mindset attuned to their aspirations. Their internal dialogue aligns with success, not fear. They have disciplined their thoughts, trained them to focus not on obstacles, but on outcomes. So ask yourself, what do you permit to echo within the chambers of your mind? Are your thoughts allies or adversaries? To change your circumstances, you must first change your inner narrative. Begin with a conscious decision to think intentionally. Just as you would not leave your home wearing anything less than what you chose, do not leave your mind exposed to thoughts that do not serve you. Choose thoughts that uplift, that stir bold visions, that affirm your worth and potential. Guard your mental space from doubt and fear as vigilantly as you would guard your home from an intruder. Visualize yourself as a sculptor. The raw material before you is your own mind. Each thought is a tap of the chisel, shaping your identity and future. Will you allow your fears to direct your hand, or will you shape a masterpiece of confidence, courage, and clarity? Imagine waking each morning with purpose, reviewing your goals with conviction. Imagine setbacks no longer derail your confidence, but instead serve as creative fuel. How different would your life be 1 year, 2 years, 3 years from now? You are not powerless. You are the captain of your ship, the author of your story. But be honest. Are you steering your life with intention or merely drifting on the tides of circumstance and habit? To live deliberately is to reclaim your power, to awaken to the truth that what you dwell upon, you become. Direct your mind and you direct your life. Let this be the day you begin to steer nation. Your definite major purpose. No one sails far without a destination, yet many live as though drifting on an endless sea, carried by winds not of their choosing. Without a definite major purpose, life lacks a cohesive direction. Effort becomes scattered, decisions grow uncertain, and the precious currency of time is spent without return. But when a purpose is clearly defined, something powerful occurs. Thoughts, actions, and intentions begin to organize themselves around that vision as naturally as iron filings align with a magnetic force. To move through life without purpose is to wander blindly. Why merely hope when you can plan? Why settle for the ordinary when you can design the extraordinary? A definite major purpose is not a fleeting wish or a half-hearted dream. It is a conscious decision to pursue something that resonates with your core. It is a deliberate stand taken against mediocrity, a choice to live with direction, resolve, and meaning. This purpose must not remain a vague notion whispered in idle moments. Write it down with clarity. Speak it aloud until your voice no longer wavers. Let it become a fire that warms you in moments of doubt and fuels your persistence in times of trial. You will know it by its effect on you. It will excite you and intimidate you in equal measure. It will wake you early and keep you working late. It will stretch you beyond your comfort zone, but in doing so, it will uncover strengths and talents you never imagined were yours. Imagine beginning each day, not with reluctance, but with a profound sense of mission. Picture a life where every decision is guided by that central aim, and your focus becomes as sharp and intense as sunlight through a magnifying glass. Under such conditions, distractions lose their grip. Excuses feel foreign. You are no longer reacting to life, but commanding it. Ask yourself with honesty, what are you here to accomplish? What mark will you leave behind long after your presence is gone? Purpose gives life dimension and depth. It gives pain a reason and effort a reward. Without it, a person is like a leaf tossed in the wind, moving but never arriving. With it, a person becomes a storm, focused, unrelenting, and impossible to ignore. Let your purpose not be something you chase only when convenient. Let it be the center around which your life revolves. Declare it boldly. Nurture it daily. Shape your thoughts, habits, and environment to serve it. In doing so, you will not just exist. You will live with fire, with power, and with the deep satisfaction that comes from knowing exactly why you are here. 3. Faith is the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. There is a force more potent than money, more essential than education, and more critical than talent. That force is faith. Faith is not wishful thinking or idle hope. It is the deep, unwavering inner conviction that what has not yet materialized can and will come into existence, provided you are willing to believe and take consistent, purposeful action toward it. Faith ignites the will. It steadies the heart when the path is unclear. It makes the impossible possible by first making it believable. Often, people wait for the perfect moment, the right resources, or a visible sign before taking the first step. But true faith asks for none of these. It requires you to begin even when you feel unprepared. It asks you to move forward despite not knowing exactly how the pieces will fall into place. Your task is not to predict the path, but to trust the vision. Until belief takes root in your mind, action remains timid, and without action, dreams remain ethereal and unfulfilled. The world tends to reward certainty, but certainty does not always come from external validation. More often, it comes from within. It is born in silence, tested in solitude, and proven in persistence. Most individuals wait to believe until they see results, but life rarely works that way. Belief precedes evidence. What you expect shapes what you perceive. Faith is the bedrock of every meaningful achievement, the silent engine behind every story of transformation. There will be moments when you feel alone in your pursuit, when applause is absent and approval seems far away. But those are the exact moments when faith is forged. It is the voice inside that urges you onward, whispering that your steps are not in vain. It tells you to continue when logic says stop, to believe when doubt shouts loudest. Now imagine living as if failure were not an option. Imagine carrying yourself with the presence and confidence of someone who already holds the outcome in their hands. Your posture changes. Your choices become bolder. You speak when it matters. You act with clarity instead of caution. What would shift in your life if your decisions were made from vision, not fear? Ask yourself honestly, do you truly possess faith, or do you borrow it in moments of convenience, only to abandon it when challenged? Real faith is not fleeting. It does not waver when storms arrive. It is not blind, but courageous. It acknowledges the existence of doubt, but refuses to surrender to it. Faith is the triumph over hesitation, the refusal to let uncertainty dictate destiny. Let faith not be a guest you entertain only when things are easy. Let it be your constant companion, your foundation. When you lead with faith, even unseen paths become illuminated. You don't need all the answers to begin. You just need to believe that you are capable, that your dream is worthy, and that the unseen will reveal itself to those who dare to walk forward anyway. 4. Discipline is the price of freedom. You wish to be free, then you must be disciplined. Freedom is not found in the absence of structure, but in the presence of self-mastery. A person who cannot govern their impulses is not free. They are bound by their cravings, trapped by their whims, and led by fleeting feelings. True liberty begins the moment you choose to take responsibility for your own life. It begins when you stop blaming circumstances and start shaping them through intention. Discipline is often misunderstood. It is not a punishment, but a path. It is training for greatness. Just as a blade is shaped in the fire and honed on the stone, your will is refined through repetition and resilience. Discipline asks you to do what must be done, not only when it is easy, but especially when it is not. It is in those moments when comfort beckons and distractions tempt that discipline does its deepest work. Each time you choose effort over ease, you cast a vote for the person you are becoming. Many speak of goals and dreams. Few rise when the alarm calls them to action. Fewer still keep the promises they make to themselves. If you say you want to change your life, look to your habits. Look to how you spend your mornings, your evenings, your idle moments. The space between the life you envision and the life you live is filled with choices, and those choices are shaped by discipline. Picture a day crafted with purpose. The morning opens with clarity, time carved out for stillness, planning, and vision. The midday hours pulse with action, tasks executed, challenges faced, progress made. The evening invites reflection, lessons gathered, direction adjusted. No motion wasted, no time lost to aimless wandering. What would your life become if each day followed this rhythm? If you replace one weakness with one strength, one distraction with one focus, day by day, you do not lack knowledge. Deep down, you already know what must be done. The real question is not about strategies or secrets, but about resolve. Will you do what is necessary? Will you show up when no one is watching, when no praise is promised, when the results are not yet visible? Discipline asks for effort today so that you may live freely tomorrow. It may feel like a burden now, but regret weighs more. Regret looks back with longing. Discipline looks forward with hope. One will build your future, the other will haunt your past. So choose wisely. Claim your freedom, not with words, but with action. Build it with your routines, protect it with your choices, and honor it with your consistency. The disciplined life is not a life of restriction, but one of power. And in that power lies the freedom you've been seeking all along. 5. Persistence outlasts all obstacles. Greatness does not lie in the absence of failure. It is not found in a life untouched by struggle or disappointment. Greatness is born in the choice to rise every single time you fall, to take one more step when your legs feel like giving out, and to carry forward with a heart that refuses to surrender. Obstacles are not placed in your path to defeat you. They exist to refine you, to shape you, to reveal the depth of your character. They do not block the way, they show the way. Many individuals never reach their potential, not because they are without talent or opportunity, but because they lack the resolve to keep going. They begin the journey with passion, full of hope and ambition, only to retreat at the first sign of difficulty. But you are not meant to live in retreat. Within you burns the fire of endurance, a flame that may flicker in storms, but never dies. This fire is your inheritance, yet it is not automatic. It must be nurtured, called forth, and strengthened through action. To become what you are meant to be, you must train your heart to persevere, not just when things are smooth, but especially when the world seems against you. Each blow life delivers is not a cue to give up, but a summons to rise higher. When you fall, and you will, get up with greater resolve. Let defeat be your teacher, not your master. Failure is only final when you choose not to stand again. Visualize yourself climbing a great mountain. The incline is sharp, the path rocky. The higher you climb, the thinner the air becomes. Every movement requires effort. Your lungs burn, your muscles scream, your mind wavers, and yet somewhere above, the summit waits. The view, the reward, the fulfillment of your journey, it is there. But it is only for those who endure. You could stop, you could turn back, but what if you didn't? What if you kept climbing, one painful step after another? And what if, through that relentless determination, you made it? At that moment, the pain would vanish, transformed into triumph. The story of the struggle would become your legend. Now pause and reflect. What dreams have you set aside that were almost within reach? What visions did you once carry that you allowed to slip through your grasp? What did you once hold close that you believed in but abandoned when it got hard? Reclaim them. Pick them back up with stronger hands and a steadier heart. You are not starting over. You are starting wiser, tougher, more prepared. Understand this truth. Victory does not always go to the fastest, the strongest, or the most talented. It goes to the one who refuses to quit. It belongs to the one who wakes each day and chooses to try again. The relentless are the ones who change the world, not because they never stumble, but because they always rise. Let your life be a testimony to resilience. Let it be said that no matter how many times you were knocked down, you never stayed down. That every challenge met a spirit it could not break. That your journey was not defined by ease, but by endurance. This is greatness, not perfection, but persistence. 6. You must act before you feel ready. Too many individuals find themselves standing at the edge of greatness, waiting for the elusive moment when everything will feel just right. They wait for clarity, for certainty, for a sign that perfection is a phantom. It does not arrive with fanfare or clarity. It is not a destination, but an excuse often cloaked in the language of wisdom. And while people wait, time slips silently by. The hands of the clock do not pause for hesitation. The world continues to move, and others, less prepared, less certain, go forward and live the very dreams you have shelved. You see, action is not the product of confidence, it is its cause. Confidence is a muscle, and like any muscle, it strengthens through use. You don't wait until you are strong to lift the weight. You lift to become strong. In the same way, you don't wait to feel ready to act. You act to discover your readiness. And every step forward chips away at fear. With each action, the fog of doubt begins to clear, and the path ahead, once hidden, starts to unfold. Courage is not a life lived without fear. It is the decision to keep walking while fear whispers in your ear. Every remarkable accomplishment began when someone chose to move before the full plan was visible. They didn't have all the answers. They didn't have absolute certainty, but they moved anyway, one step, then another. The trail was carved not by perfect foresight, but by steady progress. Imagine what your life would look like if you stopped waiting for permission from fear. Suppose just once you spoke before self-doubt silenced you. Suppose you acted before hesitation had time to grow roots. Suppose you started with what you had, where you were, and allowed progress to guide precision. Would you not be further than the person still perfecting their blueprint? Movement matters. Preparation is useful, but over-planning becomes paralysis. You can fill a room with maps and strategy, but you will not grow until you step outside and move. Growth is not a product of thought alone. It is born in motion. Real progress begins when the desire to move outweighs the fear of failing. There is a quiet bravery in starting, in putting your work into the world, in showing up for your dream when no one is clapping. Begin, even with trembling hands. Begin even if your voice shakes and your heart races. That first act of courage will change you. And once you begin, readiness begins to chase you. Strength, clarity, and confidence will meet you on the road, but never at the starting line. So ask yourself with brutal honesty, are you standing still or are you stepping forward? Are you endlessly preparing or doing one small brave thing each day? Life rewards momentum, not potential. If you want to change your life, the moment is now. Not when you feel ready, not when everything aligns, but here, in this breath, with what you have. Do not wait to be perfect. Begin and let the path reveal what perfection never could. Progress, purpose, and a power within you that only movement can awaken. 7. Service is the secret to abundance. The person who gives more than they take shall never be poor. It is a principle that has echoed through generations, not just in philosophy, but in the quiet, steady success of those who live by it. The world in all its complexity has a simple way of working. It opens its treasures to those who seek to serve, not merely to receive. Whether it is the wealth of the mind, the abundance of financial resources, or the richness of meaningful relationships, these are the fruits of those who choose to offer more than they ask for. There is a subtle magic in service. It transforms ordinary labor into a calling. When you commit yourself to being useful, truly useful, you become indispensable. You begin to matter. The value you bring to others becomes your most powerful currency. It is not merely about doing a job or fulfilling a duty. It is about approaching every interaction, every opportunity with the mindset of contribution. What can I add? How can I help? What needs can I meet? In that space, you become someone who is not just noticed, but needed. And value, genuine value, is always rewarded. You may say you want to succeed. You may hunger for growth, recognition, achievement. But the question you must ask is not, what do I want to get? But, what am I willing to give? Success is not a one-way street. It is a cycle, a rhythm of giving and receiving. When you focus on easing another person's path, on lightening their load, you begin to walk in alignment with the deeper laws of abundance. Imagine waking each day with a singular question. How can I serve someone today? Suppose you made this your daily practice. Suppose in your business you sought not just to close the deal, but to exceed the need. Suppose in your career you didn't just aim to fulfill the role, but to uplift the environment. Suppose in your relationships you focused not on being understood, but on understanding. What might return to you? Likely, far more than you ever expected. Many try to climb the ladder of success by stepping on others, by grasping at every rung with desperation and fear. But those who rise highest often lift others as they climb. They create networks of support, trust, and loyalty. They build bridges rather than burn them. And when challenges come, as they always do, those bridges hold firm. The bonds formed through service and integrity are not easily broken. There is a profound truth found in the image of the candle that lights another. It loses nothing of itself. In fact, it grows in brilliance. When you share your time, your knowledge, your effort, you are not diminished, you are expanded. You become more capable, more connected, more significant. Service is not a subtraction from your life. It is an addition. Ask yourself honestly, who did I help today? Where did I make a difference, even a small one? And if the answer is unclear, make tomorrow different. Offer without expectation. Give without demand. Pour into the world what you wish to receive. If you long for kindness, be kind. If you seek opportunity, create opportunity for someone else. If you desire success, help another succeed. In the end, the most powerful and enduring form of influence is service. Those who serve do not have to chase success. They attract it. Their names are spoken in rooms they have never entered. Their legacy grows quietly in the lives they touch. So serve not for applause, but from purpose. Give not because it is required, but because it is who you are. The flame you light today may illuminate someone else's path, and in doing so, it will brighten your own. 8. Failure is not final. You have stumbled. You have made mistakes. You have known the sting of disappointment and the bitter taste of defeat. But listen closely, failure is not your identity. It is not a label you must wear for life, nor a prison in which you must dwell. Failure is a chapter, not the conclusion. It is a lesson, a nudge, a teacher dressed in harsh robes. It shows you where your path diverged from wisdom, where your actions fell short of your vision. But it does not mean the journey ends. It simply says, this is not the way. Try again. Every person who has ever created something lasting, every soul who has etched their name into the story of greatness, has met failure face to face. Failure is not the enemy of success. It is its companion. It walks alongside those who dare to step beyond the familiar. It whispers, it stings, but it also points, it reveals. It awakens something fierce and necessary inside the one who refuses to surrender. You are not alone in your setbacks. You walk a path tread by legends, but it is your response that defines you, not the fall, but the rise, not the misstep, but the comeback. Will you choose despair, or will you choose to see failure for what it truly is, a powerful, if painful, instructor? The truth is, the only real failure is quitting. Everything else is part of the learning curve, part of the sculpting of your resilience. Picture this. You set out to build something bold, to chase a vision no one else can yet see. You give your time, your energy, your heart, and it crumbles. The result isn't what you imagined. The critics appear, some disguised as friends, some as your own inner voice. But inside you something else rises, a flicker of determination. The pain clarifies your purpose. The setback sharpens your skills. And slowly a new plan forms, a better one. You go again. This time the outcome is different. Maybe still not perfect, but closer. Then again and again. With each repetition, your strength grows. Your wisdom deepens. What once seemed like ruin begins to look like a foundation. What once brought shame now brings pride, because you didn't stay down, because you learned, you adjusted, and you kept moving. You are not defined by the fall. You are defined by the rise. Every step you take forward, no matter how small, is a declaration that you are not finished, that you are growing, that your failures are not tombstones, but stepping stones. The one who never fails is the one who never tries. The only true defeat is choosing never to try again. So ask yourself with courage and honesty, what did I learn from the fall? What truth did it reveal? What weakness did it expose? And how can I now turn that weakness into strength? How has this failure made me better prepared for what lies ahead? you will find that even in your lowest moments, growth was quietly at work. Even in the silence of defeat, a voice inside you was whispering, "Get up!" Failure refines. It carves away the unnecessary. It humbles pride and tests your commitment. It strips you down to what is real. But from that place of rawness, of truth, something new can be built. Something stronger, something truer. Let the fall reveal you, not break you. Let it show you who you are and who you are capable of becoming. Every story worth telling includes failure. It is the tension that makes the triumph sweet. It is the struggle that gives the success its weight. You are writing such a story now, one with chapters of loss, yes, but also of grit, courage, and relentless hope. So rise, again and again rise. Your legacy is not in how many times you avoided failure, but in how many times you stood back up when it came. Do not fear it, embrace it, for failure is not the end, it is the beginning of all those who refuse to quit. 9. Success demands a decision. Nothing happens until a decision is made. Not a vague intention, not a whispered hope. A real decision, firm, clear, irreversible. It is the moment when you draw a line in the sand and declare with conviction, from this moment forward, I will no longer return to who I was. I will become what I am meant to be. So many people drift through life, not because they are incapable, but because they never choose. They float, carried by the currents of circumstance, reacting to life instead of directing it. They talk about what they want. They dream of change. They even envy those who have transformed their lives. But they never make the leap. They never commit. And without commitment, action has no spine. It crumbles at the first sign of resistance. But with commitment, even the smallest steps gather momentum. A decision made with true resolve turns a whisper into a roar. Decision is power. It is the trigger that sets everything else into motion. It says to the world, and more importantly to yourself, this is the path. I am no longer negotiating with my limitations. I am done delaying. I am done wishing. I am done waiting. You must decide, not tomorrow, not after the next setback, not when the timing feels right, now. Because time does not pause. Opportunity does not wait. The version of you who could have done more, lived more, achieved more, is always slipping away, unless you decide to become them. When you make a decision, truly make it, the world begins to bend. It does not happen all at once. The sky does not open, but little things begin to shift. You begin to notice new chances. You begin to speak differently, to carry yourself differently. And then so does everyone around you. The way people respond to you changes. The doors you once feared to knock on, you open them without waiting. The opportunities you once convinced yourself you weren't ready for, you seize them. Because something in you has changed. And it all started with a decision. Picture it. You rise in the morning not with dread, but with intention. You walk into each day with clarity, not confusion. Your words align with your values. Your actions reflect your vision. Why? Because you are no longer uncertain. You have decided who you are and where you're going. You are not playing small to protect someone else's comfort. You are not dimming your ambition because you're afraid of failure. You are no longer negotiating with fear. You are leading your life. Ask yourself honestly, what have you been delaying? What truth have you been avoiding? What call have you refused to answer? Perhaps it is a change in your health, your career, your relationships. Perhaps it is a vision you've seen for years, but buried beneath layers of doubt. Perhaps it's the courage to walk away from something safe but stagnant. You know the answer. You always have. And the longer you wait, the heavier indecision becomes. It saps your energy. It clouds your judgment. It shrinks your confidence. It leaves you stuck, watching life pass by while others move forward. Indecision is the silent thief of potential. It keeps you comfortable but unfulfilled, safe but restless, busy but ineffective. Only a decision can break that cycle. You do not need all the answers. You do not need perfect conditions. You need only a decision strong enough to ignite action, one that says, this is what I want, and I will no longer accept anything less. Everything changes when you decide, your mindset, your habits, your environment. You begin to build momentum, and momentum is more powerful than motivation. Motivation fades, but momentum feeds itself. Every choice you make after that decision reinforces your new identity. And the more aligned your decisions are, the faster your transformation. You will still feel fear, you will still face resistance, but the person who has decided does not negotiate with fear. They do not sit and wonder whether to act. They act and learn along the way. They trust that the path will unfold as they move, because movement brings clarity, not the other way around. So decide that your future will not be determined by default, but by design. That your goals are not optional, but essential. That your dreams are not fantasies, but blueprints for a life worth living. Decide to no longer wait for permission. Decide to stop explaining your potential and start proving it. A true decision does not fade with time. It does not waver in storms. It becomes a vow, a quiet but unshakable promise to yourself. One that says, I will not stop until this is done. Let this be that moment. Not another wish, not another plan. A decision, a turning point. Draw the line, burn the old maps, choose your direction, and step forward. The road will rise to meet you, but only after you decide to walk it. For the one who decides, all things begin to move.